If what you're doing is getting you the results you want, then by all means keep doing it. Stick with what's working. Success has its own momentum, a kind of reinforcement. It's like feeding a fire. As long as you keep adding the fuel of good habits, you keep the fire of success burning bright. Now, if what you're doing isn't working, if it's just not bringing the results, it's time to make a change. Success responds to consistent, deliberate action. When you're doing everything you know how to do and seeing progress, that's a sign. Keep going. Success itself is reinforcing, and it sends you the message. Stay on this path, you're onto something. Now, we all understand positive reinforcement. Think about raising kids. When you want them to put in the work to hit those books, what do? You reward them when they come home with good grades. You show them early on that effort and results are connected, and that the good habits they're building today will lead to success tomorrow. But they also see the reward today. This is positive reinforcement in action. It's about learning that for every worthwhile, productive action, there's a reward on the other side. And the more value you bring, the greater the reward. The better you get, the better your life gets, a bigger paycheck, a better home, more freedom. That's life's reward system. Let me tell you about two powerful benefits of positive reinforcement. Number one, positive reinforcement builds good habits. When you're doing something that builds your ambition, when it's bringing you success, stick with it. It means those habits are working. It's like an internal signal saying, keep this up. And by going back and reviewing those habits that have brought you success, you reinforce them even more. You make them strong. You're giving them staying power. Now, here's the other side. Reviewing your habits also helps you notice where some of your actions are holding you back. Sometimes without realizing it, we slip into habits that work against us, or we let go of those that once helped us. Someone might say, well, I just got out of the habit of that daily walk. Well, I guess you'll just have to get in the habit of being tired and out of shape down the road. Or someone else might say, I used to read good books all the time. I just got out of the habit. Then it's time to turn it around. Go back to those good disciplines. If you slipped out of the habit, just get back into it. That's what we call discipline. And here's the golden rule. If it's not working, don't keep doing it. You can hope and wish for things to change all you want, but hope alone is not a strategy. Wishing the wind will blow more in your favor won't take you where you want to go. If your habits aren't serving you, don't hold on to them. Don't wish for a different wind. Instead, wish for the wisdom to adjust your sails. Use whatever wind blows to your advantage and set yourself on the right course. I learned this philosophy at age 25, and it transformed my life. Here's what I discovered: it was simple. Now, let me tell you what I mean by simple. It was something I could do. If it's within reach, if it's achievable, then it's simple. But don't let that fool you. I still worked hard. I got up early, I stayed up late, and I focused on making sure my disciplines were in line. I made sure my habits were serving me. From age 25 to 31, I worked hard. But I found that success for me was about doing the things I could do and doing them consistently. That's what took me from where I was to becoming a millionaire by age 31. The path to success may be simple, but it requires work, discipline, and an unyielding focus on what works. Success is about taking control, setting your sail, and letting the winds of life carry you where you're determined to go. Now, some people say, Mr. Rohn, if it was so easy, then why didn't everyone around you get rich? And here's the answer. Because it's just as easy not to. It's easy to let things slide, to ignore the little disciplines, to keep on doing what doesn't work. It's easy to drift along without making a change. So why did I get rich while others didn't? Here's the philosophy that makes all the difference. The things that are easy to do are just as easy not to do. That's the line between success and failure, between idle dreams and real ambition. It's all about the daily choices you make. Now let's talk about the formula for success. It's a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And here's the secret. Those disciplines must be chosen carefully. Not just any action will do. You have to ask yourself what really matters. What's worth my time? The last thing you want is to waste time on things that won't move you forward. But when you identify a few simple disciplines and make them a part of your daily routine, you'll find they have the power to transform your future, your financial future, your family's future, your business, your career. Just a few good habits practiced consistently can change your entire life. Now let me give you the flip side of that. The formula for failure. It's just a few small errors in judgment repeated every day. That's all it takes. It might seem harmless to skip that daily effort to ignore that small discipline, but over time those little errors add up. And eventually they lead you far from where you wanted to be. 10 years down the road, you could find yourself driving a car you don't want to drive, living in a place you don't want to live, earning far less than you know you could have. Just a few small errors, a few bad habits repeated every day can create a life you never intended. Why is it so easy to fall into those errors in judgment? Because failure doesn't knock on your door right away. If skipping a discipline brought disaster by the end of the week, we'd all snap to attention. But here's the trick, it doesn't work that way. The damage is subtle. Bad habits, little errors, they don't ruin your life overnight. You won't see the effects at the end of day one or even the first week. And that's why so many people get faked out. They think, what harm can it do? Meanwhile, these small mistakes keep them just a bit off course little by little until one day they look up and realize they've drifted too far to easily come back. So here's the choice you face. You've got two kinds of easy. It's easy to do what's right, and it's easy not to. The small disciplines that could lead to success are easy enough to do. But remember, the small errors that lead to failure, they're easy too. You're always choosing one or the other. And that's the lesson. Choose the easy that works for you, not against you. Make those little disciplines a habit, stay aware of those small errors, and keep yourself on the path you want. It's the small things done consistently that build a life worth living. Now, the reason I became wealthy by the age of 31 was because for 6 years I made sure to do the simple things I could do. And here's the key. I didn't neglect them. I found small, manageable actions that led to big results, and I did them consistently. Neglect is the real thief. It's the major reason why most people don't have what they truly want, whether that's more health, more wealth, more power, more influence. It's neglect, pure and simple. And here's the problem with neglect. It starts small, but if you don't take care of it, it becomes like a silent infection that grows until it's a full-blown disease. If you're in the habit of neglecting those small things, of skipping the actions that lead to progress, it's time to break that habit and get in the rhythm of doing all it takes. Now, here is the magic of positive reinforcement. The first benefit of it, building good habits. Every small positive action you take strengthens your discipline and builds habits that work for you. That's what makes it possible to keep moving forward. The second benefit of positive reinforcement, it creates energy, the fuel that drives you to achieve even more. When you see the results of your effort paying off, that knowledge creates momentum, a fire that keeps you going and inspires you to do more of what works. It's a cycle that builds on itself. Every little bit of progress pumps more energy into your system, more desire to keep going, to dig a little deeper. Now, how easy is it to get up in the morning when you know you're slacking off, when you're cutting corners and not doing all that you could? It's tough, right? When you know you've been holding back, it's easy to lie there telling yourself just a few more minutes, it won't make a difference. Wrong. It does make a difference. Every choice matters, and it all adds up over time. On the flip side, how easy is it to get up in the morning when you're on top of things, when you're giving it your best shot and making real progress toward your dreams? It's a whole different story. When you're excited about your goals and know you're making strides, you wake up ready to go. You're not lying there wishing the day would go away, you're eager to dive in. And here's the amazing part. You might find yourself waking up before your alarm even rings. That's what happens when you're truly fired up, when you're passionate about what you're building. You see, your successes fuel your ambition. Every achievement builds your momentum. It gives you that extra boost, that extra spark. And one success leads to another, and then another. It's what I call the snowball effect. You push a small snowball down the hill, and before you know it, it's gaining speed, growing larger, gathering more power. The disciplines that seem tough in the beginning become part of who you are, part of your philosophy. You start seeing the value in those small actions, and soon enough, they're second nature to you. So remember, the path to success is about consistency, about sticking with those simple disciplines that seem small but over time make all the difference. It's about making sure neglect doesn't creep in and rob you of what you could have. Success is about finding your stride, pouring it on, and letting your own progress become the fuel that drives you to new heights. It's all within your reach, as long as you keep doing those small things that matter. How do you know when you're successful? Do you need to have $1 million in the bank, a big house, fancy cars? No, not at all. Success is not about hitting some magic number. Here's the real measure. Have you earned all you can possibly earn? Have you done your absolute best? That's all we ask. If you're giving everything you've got, if you're earning $10,000 a year, and that's truly the best you can do right now, then that's enough. Rest assured you're on the right path. The key is simply this: just do the best you can. Whether that's $10,000 a year or $1 million, it doesn't matter as long as you're pushing yourself to reach your full potential. Now, don't misunderstand me. This isn't about the money alone. It's about becoming the most you can possibly be. Why? Because the true essence of life is growth. Life itself is about stretching, reaching, becoming more. We grow until we're done. And that's not something we have much say in. We're built to grow physically, to keep developing until we reach maturity. That's part of life's design. But the rest, the growth of our minds, our talents, our skills, that is in our hands. And here's the thing. It's that part, the part we can control, that tends to get away from us. All life forms have this natural drive to reach their full potential except for one: human beings. Every tree grows as tall as it can. Every animal gives all it has to survive. But we as humans have this unique gift. We have the dignity of choice. And that's what sets us apart from every other life form on this planet. We have the power to choose. And here's the choice we all face: to become a fraction of what we could be, just enough to get by, or to become everything we're capable of becoming. Now, my best advice: choose the all. Go all the way, be everything you can be. Earn all you can, make as many friends as you can, read as many books as you can, develop as many skills as you can, see as much of the world as possible, do as much as you can, create as much wealth as possible, and give as possible, and give as much wealth away as you can. That's living at the max, and there's no life like it. Once I got on that track, once I committed to that path, I've never looked back. So here's the challenge. Pick it up and go for it. Go for the best of the two easiest. It's easy to make excuses, easy to settle, easy to say that's good enough. But it's also easy to push a little further, to strive a little harder, to make just one more effort. Take the route of it's easy to get ahead. It's easy to do all I can. It's easy to succeed. It's easy to reach financial freedom. Remember, the more you do, the more you get. That's the beauty of positive reinforcement. So don't just settle, don't just go halfway. Choose to go all the way. Life is short, and you have more potential than you can imagine. Make the choice every day to reach your full potential. That's real success. That's the life worth living. How do you pinpoint what's working for you and what isn't? How can you make sure that you're reinforcing your positive disciplines, keeping yourself on the right track? Well, here's a simple approach. If it isn't clear, if the results aren't obvious, if what you're doing is so gradual that you can't tell if it's truly moving you forward, then you need to start writing it down. You need a journal. A journal isn't just for recording your thoughts, it's a tool for accountability. By putting into writing the action steps and goals you have, you get a clear record of what's working and what's not. Most people go through life without ever documenting a thing. They just try to get through the day, never writing down what they're doing, never keeping track of their progress, and never truly knowing if they're doing all they can to reach their goals and fuel their ambitions. But successful people, wise people, they don't just try to get through the day, they strive to get from the day. They pick up something valuable from each day. A lesson, an experience, an insight that might be useful down the road. They look for the gold in every experience, big or small. Here's why writing things down is so important. Our minds are creative, and sometimes that creativity creates scenarios that don't really exist. We imagine things a certain way, we recall details a little off, and pretty soon we're seeing our lives through a bit of a filter. But when you write it all down, you get to be more factual, more precise, more realistic. When you read back over your journal, you start to see things as they really are, not just how you think they are. And once you see things clearly, you're in a much better position to improve them. You know those times when you thought you had everything figured out, that you were doing exactly what you needed to, but somehow things didn't turn out the way you planned. You burned the midnight oil, you pushed yourself, and yet it didn't seem to change the result. Those are the times when you need a bit of self-encouragement. You've got to rely on yourself to pick yourself up and keep going. There are two powerful ways to use self-encouragement. First, take full responsibility for any missed opportunity or misstep. Learn from the times when things didn't pan out, even when you thought you'd done it all right. Maybe the client didn't respond, maybe the deal didn't close, but instead of beating yourself up, look at it as a setup for the next chance. Every missed shot, every setback is setting you up for a stronger comeback. Study what went wrong and learn from it. Don't dwell on mistakes, but don't ignore them either. Acknowledge them, learn from them, and encourage yourself by remembering that you're smarter and more capable than any temporary outcome. The second way to use self-encouragement is to remind yourself that you're always getting better. Don't let setbacks knock you down. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. It's the next opportunity that counts. The last one matters only because of the lessons it offers. But the next one gives you the chance to prove that you've learned. Keep practicing, keep adjusting, and keep improving. You keep pushing forward until you've got it down. Remember, if you've identified what went wrong last time, then you know how to make it right the next time. Gather the facts, get the figures, take notes on what needs improving. That's how progress is made. Every experience, whether a success or a setback, is a stepping stone. And when you journal, when you write down the details of your journey, you'll find it much easier to see the steps you've taken, the distance you've covered, and the path ahead. So stay committed, stay disciplined, and keep reinforcing those positive habits. Success is about staying in the game, learning as you go, and steadily climbing. Now, let me tell you something important. You've got to be your own biggest fan. You've got to lift yourself up, build yourself up, keep yourself moving forward. Because here's the truth, you can't sit around waiting, hoping that someone else will come along and do it for you. You can't expect that someone else will just step in, cheer you up, and tell you that you're going to be fine, that you'll get it right next time. No, you've got to rely on you. You need faith in yourself, confidence in your own abilities to figure out what works and what doesn't, what's right for you and what's not. And this isn't just about feeling good right now. It's about knowing that every single thing you're doing today, you're doing with a clear intention for a better tomorrow. Keep yourself focused on that future. You're working toward the successes that are coming, the goals that are in front of you, the dreams you're building every single day. Encourage yourself by remembering what you're aiming for and by reminding yourself that you're moving in the right direction. You've got a plan, you're taking the steps, and you're committed to staying on track until you get there. Now, life happens, and sometimes we slip off track. You might lose a little discipline here or there. But when that happens, you've got to be quick to bring yourself back. If you stray from your disciplines, don't waste a second. Just get back to it. Yes, it's challenging, maybe even a little intimidating, but nothing is more powerful than resilience. Get back up, get back on, and keep your ambition alive, active, and working for you. You see, life has two kinds of pain: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. And let me tell you, the pain of discipline weighs ounces while the pain of regret weighs tons. A little discipline today saves you from a world of regret tomorrow. It's easier to stay on track, to have the resources you need, than to live a life full of excuses, always explaining why things didn't work out. A few simple disciplines today will preserve your dignity tomorrow. And remember this: don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. Don't look out there hoping things will change on their own. Instead, work to develop yourself to the point where you can totally and truly rely on yourself. When you're disciplined, prepared, and focused, you become the kind of person who can handle anything life throws your way. That's the real power of self-reliance.